After the age of 70, life feels like turning the page to a new chapter. A place where worries that once seemed important now feel lighter, where the things that kept us up at night suddenly don't seem worth the concern anymore. This stage isn't the end of anything, but rather the beginning of a different kind of living, one that is deeper, freer, and above all, happier. Have you ever cared too much about what others think of you? Tried to mold yourself into someone else just to feel accepted? Held on tightly to things no longer meant for you, whether a relationship, an appearance, or expectations that no longer match your reality? After 70, many people begin to realize those things no longer matter. And the moment you let go, when you release the grip on those small concerns, is the moment you truly begin to live. Because at this age, happiness doesn't come from perfection, but from acceptance. It doesn't come from trying harder, but from knowing what's enough. It doesn't come from praise or admiration, but from peace of mind. And to reach that peace, you must learn one seemingly simple, yet incredibly powerful skill: letting go. In today's video, we'll explore 7 things that once drained your energy, but no longer deserve to be held on to. From living for others' approval, to obsessing over appearance, to maintaining relationships that no longer nourish you. Each thing you let go of will create space for calm, lightness, and freedom. Join me on this journey of awakening, to see that old age is not a time of loss, but a time to carefully choose what is truly worth keeping. There's a truth that seems to only fully settle in once we cross the threshold of 70. Your worth doesn't lie in how others see you. The things that once made you hesitate or hold back now feel trivial in the light of experience. Have you ever felt exhausted from constantly trying to please everyone? Have you spent your life doing what you should do instead of what you truly wanted? That question becomes clearer than ever when you finally realize no one has the right to define your life but you. At 70, people begin to see the true nature of social expectations. Most of them are merely projections of others. The judgments that once kept you up at night, that pushed you into self-doubt, now echo faintly from the past. What matters is this: when you stop chasing external validation, a more peaceful world opens up within you. This isn't some belated rebellion. It's the mark of true maturity. It's the moment you realize that living authentically is a gift, needing no justification, requiring no proof. Accepting differences, even within yourself, becomes a symbol of inner freedom. Start with the small things. Wear what makes you feel comfortable. Say what you truly believe. Spend time doing what brings you joy, not because someone said it was worthy or appropriate. Ask yourself each morning, what do I want today? And truly listen to the answer. The peace you've been seeking for years turns out not to lie in anyone else's hands. It's in the decision to release outdated assumptions. And when you do that, you don't just live more freely. You also inspire others around you to be brave enough to be themselves. And once you've let go of others' expectations, the next thing that will bring even more lightness to your life is this: realizing that chasing trends no longer holds the same appeal it once did. At some point in life, we believed that keeping up with trends was a way to prove we were still in touch with the times. From the latest smartphones to trendy haircuts or viral social media challenges, we once tried hard to be part of that current. But after weathering life's many ups and downs, somewhere beyond the age of 70, all of that suddenly stops feeling necessary. You begin to look back and ask yourself, do I really need that smartwatch, or is it just because everyone else has one? Are those skinny jeans truly comfortable, or am I just trying not to be left behind? These seemingly small questions open up a profound truth. Trends, however dazzling, are ultimately just repeating cycles, built on the need to conform, not on your genuine personal needs. Comfort, both physical and mental, becomes the top priority. You choose clothes not because they're hot, but because your body feels good in them. You choose quiet afternoons on the porch over forcing yourself to try another new app just to feel connected. And strangely enough, when you step off the trend treadmill, that's when you start to truly feel like yourself. There's a unique beauty that shines through simplicity. in choosing to slow down, to savor familiar meals instead of chasing after the latest Instagram-worthy dish. You come to realize that no one is actually judging you because everyone is too busy running their own race. And if someone does judge, they're simply projecting their own insecurities onto you. Choosing to live beyond trends doesn't mean rejecting the modern world. It's the wisdom to see what truly matters to you and what you can peacefully let go of. You can still use a smartphone, but you no longer need the latest model. You still stay informed, but you don't have to follow every viral TikTok challenge. You get your hair cut in the style that suits you, not the one that imitates someone else on TV. If there's one thing you can do today to stop chasing trends, let it be this. Wear your favorite outfit, even if it's outdated. Reread that old book you once set aside because someone said it was passé. And say a gentle no to any trend that makes you feel like a stranger to yourself. You'll realize that freedom doesn't come from catching every wave of fashion, but from knowing how to choose and being brave enough to walk away from what you don't need. In that choice, you don't just become more yourself. You become an inspiration, a person who lives truthfully, lives fully, lives deeply. Because it's not that you're outdated, it's that you've moved beyond the stage of needing to prove anything to the world. And that is the clearest sign of maturity. Memory is something no one can erase. Sometimes it returns in restless nights, in the quiet moments of a still afternoon. At 70, you have enough time to look back, enough life behind you to remember what once was, both the wise choices and the regrettable mistakes. But what's different now is this. You no longer let those memories drown you in regret. There were years when you wished you had said no sooner, times you wished you had spent more time with family, been less quick-tempered, or brave enough to chase an unfinished dream. Those regrets once ached in your heart whenever they came to mind. But then you realize clinging to the past only traps you in an invisible prison of your own making. The past cannot be changed. The only thing you can change is how you choose to see it. Mistakes don't define who you are. What truly matters is how you learn from them. Every decision, whether right or wrong, helped shape the person you are today. Someone who now understands life, boundaries, and compassion more deeply. Everyone has something they wish they could do over. But the truth is, without those stumbles, you wouldn't have the calmness, the generosity, or the inner depth you now carry. Regret is human, but you don't have to let it linger. Acknowledge it, accept it, then let it go. That is the true path to healing. Today, you can choose differently. Instead of saying, if only, try saying, because of that, I've come to understand. Write down the lessons you've learned from your past and thank yourself for getting through them. Forgive yourself the way you've forgiven others. And let every remaining day be lived in gratitude, not guilt. Because every wrinkle on your face is not just a mark of time, it's a symbol of growth from the very experiences that once brought you pain. You are not perfect, but you are real. You've made mistakes, but you still choose love, and you keep choosing life. And that, above all, is something to be truly proud of. You've probably heard someone say, at this age, people already have a house, a car, children, and grandchildren, and for a moment, you felt a twinge of sadness. Comparisons, even when unintentional, have a way of creeping into our minds. But then one day you come to a realization. Every life is a unique journey, and comparison only makes you forget the one-of-a-kind beauty of your own path. We grow up in a society that ties success to achievements. How much money you have in the bank, which school your children attend, and where you've traveled. But by the time you're 70, you've had enough time to see through these standards, to realize that competition has no finish line. You could have everything and still feel incomplete if you keep looking at someone else's life. Comparison robs you of joy. It makes you overlook what you already have. Warm, simple meals, mornings you wake up healthy, peaceful moments with loved ones. And instead, gets you tangled in someone else's reality. What's most important is this. Each time you compare, you're rejecting the very journey that brought you to today. But the truth is, no one else can walk your road for you. The decisions you made, the detours you took, the hardships you overcame, no one can understand them quite like you do. And the most beautiful part is, there is no absolute right or wrong way to live. Others may be richer than you, more famous than you, may have gone farther than you, but no one has your exact memories, your exact experiences, or the wisdom you've earned along the way. Shifting from comparison to appreciation is a life-changing step. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have what they have?" Try asking, "What have I learned from my own journey?" When you begin to be grateful for the path you've walked, you'll start to feel something precious, that you've lived truthfully, loved genuinely, and tried your best. And that deserves to be honored. A simple way to begin is this. Every day, write down 3 things you're proud of, no matter how small. Maybe it's how you overcame an illness, how patiently you listened to someone, or simply that you've kept your kindness through it all. Tell your life story, not to compare it, but to see how far you've truly come. And then, when you finally stop comparing, you'll feel lighter. You won't need to rush or to keep up. You'll walk at your own pace, love life in your own way. You'll rediscover a peace that had been lost, not because of lack, but because you were always chasing what belonged to someone else. In the end, your worth isn't about what you have, it's about who you've become. And when you accept, love, and take pride in your journey, you won't just live more joyfully, you'll pass down an essential message to the next generation, that every life is a journey worth honoring. We were taught to always be strong, to always push forward, never complain, never stop. For decades, you lived that way, working hard, pushing through pain, trying not to let anyone see your weariness. But in your 70s, your body starts saying what you used to ignore. It needs to be listened to, not forced. Maybe you once thought, if I rest, I'll become weak. Or, I can't slow down. People will think I'm not trying. These thoughts come from a generation that tied personal worth to hard work. But then you realize true wisdom isn't about pushing past your limits. It's about knowing when to stop. Your body isn't what it used to be. Every ache, every short breath, it's your body's gentle way of speaking. And instead of seeing that as a problem, you begin to hear it as a loving reminder. It's time to take care of yourself, not sacrifice yourself the way you once did. The truth is, rest is not laziness. It's an investment. You sleep well, eat right, and take time to relax. Not because you're weak, but because you want to live longer, live healthier, and savor the years you have left. When you choose a gentle walk over intense workouts or a quiet afternoon tea over exhausting activities, you're honoring your body. Start by listening to how your body feels each morning. Ask it, what would bring me comfort today? Maybe it's a few minutes of meditation, some gentle stretching, or simply doing nothing at all. Learn to rest before exhaustion hits. Say no to invitations if your energy isn't there. And remember, saying no is a powerful act of self-love. Once you begin to live this way, you'll notice the change. You no longer battle fatigue, your sleep improves, your mind feels calmer, and most importantly, you feel lighter in your own body. It's no longer a struggle, but a partnership. You've spent a lifetime caring for others. Now it's your turn to prioritize yourself. Not out of selfishness, but because it's the only way to remain truly present for those you love, with a genuine smile, real health, and lasting joy. Caring for yourself isn't a luxury, it's a responsibility, and when you do it consistently and gently, you're rewriting an important truth. Real strength isn't measured by how much you can do, but by knowing when to pause, so you can go further. Some memories are not easily forgotten. A hurtful word, a betrayal, someone who deeply disappointed you. These things can stay in your mind for years, even decades. At 70, you've carried those wounds long enough to understand. Resentment punishes no one but yourself. Letting go isn't about excusing the one who did wrong. It's about freeing yourself from the pain. For years, you've lived with that burden. Every time a certain name comes up, your heart sinks. Every time an old story surfaces, your mind stirs with unrest. But now you have a choice. Continue holding on to the bitterness, or set it down and walk forward more lightly. You might have once believed, if I forgive, they'll think I'm weak. But in truth, forgiveness is the bravest act. It requires facing your pain, rising above your ego, and loving yourself enough not to let the past control your present. Emotional freedom begins when you acknowledge, I was hurt, but I won't let that hurt steer my life anymore. You can start with a letter never meant to be sent. Pour out everything you feel, then tear it up. You can choose to speak forgiveness aloud, if not to the other person, then at least to yourself. Every act is a small step toward healing. When you let go, you make space for joy, for connection, for peace. You'll feel your heart grow lighter, your mind become more open, and life feels simpler. Because when you're no longer haunted by what was, you can finally live in what is. You may never receive an apology, but you don't need it to heal. The forgiveness you offer is a gift you give yourself. And when you do that, you don't just live better. You become an example of grace for those who come after you. In the end, happiness doesn't come from holding on. It comes from having the courage to let go of what no longer deserves space in your heart. All your life, you've heard about the right timing. Graduate college before 25, get married before 30, have kids before 35, and retire before 65. These milestones felt like a predetermined script, and anyone who strayed from the timeline was seen as late. But then you reach 70 and realize nothing is ever truly late if it still brings you joy. How many times have you wondered, am I too late? Too late to pick up a new hobby? Too late to fall in love again? Too late to change the way you live? But the truth is, there's no countdown clock for the things that make you feel alive. Because your inner life doesn't follow society's clock. It moves with emotion, desire, and peace. You start to see that those timelines are just statistical averages, not standards of happiness. Some retire early and feel lost. Others remain single and feel whole. Some people pick up an instrument, write a book, or move to a new city for the first time after 70 and live the most beautiful years of their lives. When you stop chasing someone else's timeline, you create space to finally listen to yourself. You ask, what do I want now? And you begin to live by that answer. No rushing, no comparing, no asking for permission, just you and your unique journey. Want to start something new? Go ahead. Want to rest? Take the break. Want to change your home, your hairstyle, your wardrobe? There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it reflects who you are, not what others expect. The world doesn't need more people who live on schedule but lose their hearts. It needs more people brave enough to live authentically at any age. And you at 70 are proving that true freedom doesn't come from running faster, but from knowing when to pause and walk your own pace. Because in the end, life isn't about finishing first. It's about fully living every step along the way. There is absolutely no age at which it's too late to begin living a life that is free, light, and true to who you really are. Because after all the years spent chasing expectations, comparing yourself to others, holding on to resentment, and nursing unspoken regrets, you begin to understand happiness doesn't come from adding more. It comes from letting go of what no longer serves you. After 70, you have nothing left to prove. You've lived, you've experienced, you've loved, and yes, you've made mistakes. And all of it has shaped you into someone strong, seasoned, and complete. You no longer need to follow anyone's timeline. You can define joy for yourself and move forward at the pace that feels right for you. Letting go is not a loss, it's liberation. It's the gift you give yourself to live the rest of your life with more lightness and more depth. And only when you dare to release do you truly hold peace, hold presence, hold your true self. You don't need to be like anyone else. You only need to be honest with yourself. And that, at any age, is the most beautiful thing you can be. Finally, thank you for walking with me on this journey toward inner peace in later life. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Until then, may you always be happy.